Let's talk about warming up. So warming up is really just about getting the proper sound, the proper core closure, without feeling that stiffness. It's like when you get out of bed in the morning and you're kind of groggy, or it's like when you start doing yoga and you're kind of stiff and you loosen up, or even when you first start going for a run or a walk, and you just kind of got to work your way into it, right? If we try to belt before the voice is warmed up, before it's ready to go there, before it's really ready to be used at that intensity, you're gonna damage it. Like, there's no way around it. It's gonna hurt the voice. It's just a matter of fact. Part of the reason warming up is so important is the same reason we drink water. You have to get the blood flow into your vocal cords. You have to get blood flow into your core, your diaphragm, get everything loosened up. That way when you go to sing, all the pressure, the tension is put into the right places, which is right the core and all the support muscles, and not in the neck, right? And keeping the throat open so that soft palate. Some of it's like kind of in the throat, not in the throat, but like I kind of feel muscles like in the back of my throat pushing the soft palate up. It's not related to really the vocal cords. Just helps me get the sound out. But anyways, it's really important to warm up every time you sing, and part of that can be stretching. I used to do a lot of stretches. I don't do this so much anymore because I've loosened a lot of it up, and I feel like I'm pretty good for the most part. I still do a lot of yoga when I can, but the most important thing is, if you feel tension everywhere, you got to stretch that out. You got to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and really just work your way through it, right? A little bit of this, get those muscles behind the jaw, get those, stick the tongue out, like get the tension out of the tongue. Sometimes I'll even just take my shirt and like really grab my tongue and just pull it out of my mouth for like 10 seconds, and that helps just bring it forward and out of the throat. So warming up is not always just about going straight to using your voice. A good exercise you can do is lip bubbles, so that it's very light. There's not extra air going over the cords. It's very gentle on the voice. It's very therapeutic, and you can just do that for like 5 to 10 minutes. If you're doing stretches, and it really just depends. Like, you will get familiar with your voice. Some coaches will say you want to spend like a half hour warming up. I don't really have time for that. I don't really believe in that. I would imagine it's beneficial, absolutely, yes. But realistically, I want to get straight to singing. So when I was first starting, though, I would warm up a lot. I would warm up like crazy. I would do like at least a half hour of vocal exercises before I even think about singing. But once you kind of get into the groove of it, and you recognize how your voice is supposed to feel, then you can almost start warming up faster, so to speak. It's because you start getting the sensation, you start realizing where the tension should be and where it shouldn't be. And as a beginner, it's really important. It's super important as a beginner and intermediate to warm up a lot, because it's not innate. It's not like completely ingrained in your mind yet what it should feel like. And sometimes it takes a little assistance to get there through warming up. Now, if you're advanced, like, it's still a great idea to warm up. I feel so much better when I warm up, and I usually do warm up like to some extent, just not to the extent of what I used to do before I was really, really familiar with my voice and what it should sound like and what it should feel like. The biggest thing is if you feel like your voice is starting to hurt because you just started singing, if it feels like a little bit of tension there, feel like the high notes aren't coming as easily, if you feel like the high notes are coming, but again, it just feels a little strained or like hurt or unsupported, like it's time to go. You gotta lay off because you're hurting your voice and go back to the basics. You can work in here. You can massage these muscles out if they're too tight, if you're not getting proper support. If you have a lot of stress in there, one thing you can do is really just like push in here, massage out the abs. You can massage out your shoulders, your neck, and really just get the whole body loosened up. Because if it's not, and those vocal cords are stiff and the muscles are stiff, you're gonna put tension in the wrong places, and that's what we want to avoid. We really want to avoid, again, we want to protect the voice. We want to avoid doing harm to it. And cooling down can be a really good idea too. I definitely believe in that. Let me check my notes real quick. Yeah, I didn't really have any notes on this, but cooling down to me is more about just being gentle, not going straight from singing to having a long conversation or going to a party and talking loud over the speakers, right? It's about giving yourself a few minutes just to let your voice kind of get back down to where it's comfortable talking. Like if you go straight from singing high notes in like a long show and you go straight into a long night of talking and drinking and all these different things, that's gonna hurt your voice. Like you just gotta give yourself 5 to 10 minutes. Ideally, yes, you might want to do a little more than that, but I would say 5 to 10 minutes because it's reasonable. I know how impatient and how like short of attention span some of us have these days. So, like realistically, like 5 to 10 minutes might not get your voice fully warmed up, but it's like way better than not putting in that 5 to 10 minutes, right? Any little bit you can do counts. Any little bit you can do. And if you want to do like a half-hour warm-up every time you sing, like hats off to you, man. Like that is awesome. I definitely respect that. And no one's gonna like, and you don't have to be like weird about it either. Like no one's gonna give you a hard time if you spend extra time warming up. You're just taking care of yourself. And if anybody thinks it's ridiculous, like just wait 10 years. Their voice is probably gonna be blown out while you're still singing in a really healthy manner and able to express yourself. So yeah, definitely warm up. It's super important. Drink a lot of water. Again, warm up. Give yourself space to cool down. You can do the lip bubbles on a cool down too. But again, it's just kind of letting everything reset. And even if you're just like giving yourself a few moments of quiet, like 5 to 10 minutes of not using your voice too much after singing, that's still way better than going straight and back into the party scene or a lot of talking. So ideally, yes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but realistically, even if that sounds like too much, like 5 to 10 minutes is better than not getting 5 to 10 minutes. So, and then, like I said, over time too, you'll learn to recognize what you can do with your voice. If you're really careful with it, you'll recognize what it feels like to sing warmed up and what it feels like not to sing warmed up. And then like once you really, really, really get warmed up a few times, you kind of catch on to how your voice should feel and what not to do and like what you can do, and then you can kind of work that in your routine. So sometimes I'll warm up for like maybe 5 minutes, and I know it's not enough, but I'm not gonna jump straight into singing Skid Row or Hands Like Houses or I the Mighty. I'm not gonna jump straight into that. I'm going to start with an easier song that has a little bit of lower notes in the range, that maybe a little bit lighter, maybe not as powerful. I'm going to start with easier songs, and then as my voice warms up through singing, I'll work into the harder songs. I never go straight into like singing really high intense songs. It's too harsh on the voice. So yeah, warm up, you should drink water, stretch out, get the muscles loosened, get the blood flowing, and it will do amazing things for your voice.